What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actors walks onto a morning show expecting a friendly chat, but finds himself under fire in a shocking live ambush? This is the story of how an ordinary Tuesday morning at Good Morning America turned into one of the most uncomfortable interviews in television history. Michael B. Jordan showed up early, sharp in a navy suit, ready to promote his latest film, a directorial passion project he'd spent over a year working on. For him, this was just another stop on the promo tour. He expected the usual questions about the movie, his inspiration, maybe a light personal anecdote or two. But as he took his seat opposite George Stephanopoulos, he noticed something was off. George didn't make eye contact. The air was tense. Crew members whispered. George looked like a man preparing for battle, not an interview. The moment the cameras started rolling, viewers immediately sensed something was wrong. Michael B. Jordan. "Welcome," George began. "Though I have to ask, are you as comfortable being here as you pretend to be?" The room froze. Michael responded with grace. "Good morning, George. I'm happy to be here. Not sure what you mean, but I'm always glad to talk about my work." But George wasn't interested in the work. He leaned in. "Let's talk about your image, about how you've built a reputation for integrity, while quietly shutting others out and manipulating your public persona." Michael was stunned. "I came here to talk about my film. If you have real questions, I'm ready. But I don't recognize any of what you're implying." George wasn't backing off. He accused Michael of using his influence to dominate roles, blocking out other actors, and carefully curating an image of humility that didn't match his private behavior. Michael held his ground. "That's false and insulting. I've used my platform to uplift others. My production company exists to create opportunities. I've never campaigned against anyone." George shot back smugly. "Is it false or just inconvenient for your narrative?" At that moment, the studio wasn't just tense, it was shocked. Crew members exchanged nervous glances. The control room considered cutting to commercial. Michael's publicist had already left the green room and was pacing behind the cameras. But Michael didn't flinch. "George, your questions have nothing to do with journalism. You've provided no evidence, just gossip and vague accusations. If this was a real interview, we'd be talking about my work. Instead, it feels like you had an agenda before I even walked in." Then came the line that turned the confrontation into a viral storm. George sneered. "Actors like you contribute nothing meaningful. You play pretend. You're treated like cultural icons, but at the end of the day, you're entertainers. Not role models, not leaders." Michael stood up, calm but firm. "Storytelling is meaningful. Art changes lives. It gives people hope. If you can't see that, then maybe you're in the wrong business." George lost it. "I'm the one who's interviewed presidents, covered wars, and I'm tired of Hollywood types thinking they're untouchable." Then he crossed a line. Literally, he left his seat and stepped aggressively toward Michael, pointing a finger in his face. Michael stayed calm. "Step back, George. This is no longer a professional setting. This is harassment." George, inches away, whispered, "You've fooled the public. But not me." That was it. Michael removed his mic and said with quiet dignity, "I came here to talk about my work, not be attacked. This interview is over." As he walked toward the exit, George shouted, "Run away, like you always do when someone asks the hard questions." Michael stopped, turned, looked straight into the camera. "I'm not running. I'm choosing to walk away with self-respect. I came here with good intentions. What you saw wasn't me breaking down, it was me standing up for myself." And with that, he exited the studio. The fallout was immediate. Social media exploded. Hashtags trended. Viewers were stunned not just by the hostility, but by how gracefully Michael handled it. George, he faced massive backlash, accused of letting personal bias destroy professional standards. And Michael B. Jordan, he walked away stronger, proving that sometimes, dignity speaks louder than words.